For more reaction, let's bring in senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang at the White House and senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe, who is in Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention. Good morning to both of you. Weijia, we're hearing the president will be briefed again on the incident this morning. What are you hearing from the White House? What more can you tell us?
Yeah, John, in just a short time, around 10:30, he is expected to receive an updated briefing from his Homeland Security team, along with law enforcement officials. And we are just now learning, John, a White House official telling me that call between President Biden and former President Donald Trump was, quote, good, short, and respectful. So not much there, but they are confirming that it was a very cordial phone call. Biden landed back in Washington last night just after midnight from Rehoboth Beach, where he was actually set to spend the rest of this weekend. But he rushed back here after making remarks. And you can see in this video that there was a Secret Service agent closely escorting him to his vehicle. And I can tell you that this morning, Secret Service has closed down public access to Pennsylvania Avenue in front of the White House, as well as Lafayette Park right across the street. Now, we don't know yet, John, how this is going to change the president's plans for the upcoming week, but we can tell you that the campaign has suspended all political activity. So pausing all outbound communication and pulling TV ads as quickly as possible. And so this is clearly shaping the president and his view of his role right now. And sources stress that it is the very concern of political threats and violence that has motivated this president to run back in 2020 after the white nationalist rally in Charlottesville, and to run for re-election on January 6th. And we are told that it was President Biden who immediately told his team that he needed to address the nation last night. And we heard those remarks. He was extremely cordial and referred to the former president as Donald, trying to bring down the temperature, John, and focus on the humanity of what's happening.
Thank you very much, Weijia. Ed, the Biden campaign may be on pause, but you're in Milwaukee, where the convention begins tomorrow. There's obviously a lot of focus on President Biden's age and his staying in power. How do you think that issue in a paused campaign that would have been kind of on pause while the Republican convention is going on? I mean, how does this throw the campaign as it existed before yesterday up in the air?
Well, much like the advertising, John, it's in suspension. Just an hour before the former president was shot, the current president was on what was described as an angry defensive Zoom meeting with members of the House Democratic Caucus who were questioning his political chances. It was described by several lawmakers as a really testy exchange, and one that might have prompted more lawmakers to come out last evening or today to call for his ouster. But for now, that conversation is completely suspended, according to several people I've spoken with, although one lawmaker suggested it's suspended only until or unless, quote, the current president has another episode. And to the point about advertising being suspended for now on television and in the digital space, don't be surprised if it begins again shortly after Trump arrives here in Wisconsin. The reason being that while there's a desire to try to take down the temperature, it might be difficult to not be responding at some level to whatever Republicans may say here. So Democrats, once again, stuck in a very precarious position. To what extent do you try to take down the temperature, keep the rhetoric on simmer, and yet also respond to or anticipate whatever might transpire here in Wisconsin in the coming days? We're standing outside the Pfister Hotel in Milwaukee, where Donald Trump was, we were told, supposed to stay when he's here. Unclear if this will be the venue. Part of the security perimeter that we anticipate during the day today, John, will be pushed back even further as the Secret Service and state and local authorities begin expanding the security perimeter around this convention.
Thank you, Ed. Joining us now are CBS News Chief Election and Campaign Correspondent Robert Costa and Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan with what they are hearing from their sources. Bob, I'll start with you. What are you hearing from the Trump team? And I note here an email to the Trump team from their senior leaders. In it, it includes a line that says, "Please do not comment publicly on the occurrences of today. We condemn all forms of violence and will not tolerate dangerous rhetoric on social media." What are you hearing, Bob?
At this moment, it's all things go when it comes to the Republican National Convention. There is, of course, a lot of concern, alarm inside of the Trump campaign, inside of the highest ranks of the Republican Party today. But they are planning to, one, move forward with the vice presidential selection in the coming days, and two, begin the convention in Milwaukee on Monday. And they're looking towards that Thursday moment when Trump is scheduled to take the stage as a major moment in this campaign, where Trump will appear, as they are planning to at this moment, to give a major speech accepting the Republican nomination. But there are so many security concerns behind the scenes, looking at the perimeter in Milwaukee, looking at the security of Trump campaign offices across the country.
Margaret, who's on the show, and what questions are on your mind this morning?
John, I think all of our heads are spinning because what has happened in the past few hours has changed our national conversation. We are going to be looking really at the politics of it, but really also just the facts as we learn them, and put this into perspective, John, because we know at this hour the FBI is the lead organization conducting this investigation, but all U.S. intelligence agencies are scouring for any indication of who this 20-year-old Pennsylvania man might have been in contact with prior to 6 p.m. Eastern yesterday when this attack was underway. Was he in contact with anyone overseas? Who was he in contact with here? What was the nature of that contact? Or was there any attempt to radicalize him, for example? I lay this out because we have had repeated warnings from the director of the FBI, Chris Wray, both in public and in private, to lawmakers that really all threat vectors are extremely elevated right now. We are talking about domestic violent extremists, people who've been radicalized here, and in that bucket you can include political violence, state-sponsored terrorism, as well as foreign terrorist organizations. And he has testified they are all at a high level of risk in this country right now. So all mass gatherings were already being scrutinized. And in the wake of the events, you can imagine there is going to be an even higher degree of scrutiny. So we're going to be talking to Tom Cotton, Republican senator from Arkansas, national security-minded senator already, who will be addressing the Republican National Convention about crime and other issues. We're going to have Chris Krebs, our colleague, who has been looking at the radicalization online, the amplification of some of this really damaging political rhetoric, and Jason Crow, a Democrat who was on that call with President Biden yesterday that got heated. Our Ed O'Keefe mentioned it. John, that was the story until 6 p.m. yesterday, and we will pick it back up for you.
Margaret and Bob, thank you very much.